All right, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Jerry Brazy podcast. I am the aforementioned Jerry Brazy, and today is a special day for me. I love doing these podcasts because it is my birthday. Today is number 56, 56 years old. It is impossible almost for me to say it. It's crazy to think about, and as I sit here looking back on it, it's amazing the expectation I had when I was even 10 years ago at 46, and certainly the expectation I had at 36 or 26, is not where I thought I would be at 56. And I talk about this every year when I do these podcasts on my birthday. I think about these in the context, especially the last couple of years, in the context of my health and what I feel like I was supposed to feel like at 56. And what I actually feel like, what society tells me today that I'm supposed to feel like at 56, and what I actually feel like at 56, and that is that I have people around me, people that I know, people that I grew up with, that are the same age or within a year or two either direction, that lament their age. If not for my age, I would have done this or that. And to those people, I say, that is not me. I do not ascribe to that in any way. In fact, and this is going to sound crazy, but I would say to everyone that as I turn 56 today, I feel better, stronger, more energy, quicker, smarter, faster, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, across the board than I was when I was 45, and probably I'd have to go back into my mid-30s to be in the kind of shape, maybe the late 30s to be in the kind of shape that I am now, so call it 20 years. And I did all that so that getting old, that expectation that we get old simply because of our years, our aging years, continues to be proven to be an absolute fallacy. I don't know if it's a lie. I don't know who's telling it. I just think that probably the generations that came before us were older than we are at the same time. I think that's true. And so I think there is that we saw what the people who came before us looked like, what they did, the way they acted, their behavior. And over the years, we've all gotten younger, I think. Our behaviors have gotten younger. I mean, nobody loves a superhero movie more than I do. Nobody loves an action hero movie more than I do. But I've been going to them since the genre was created, in the late 70s and the early 80s. And so all of my teeth have been cut on all of these action movies and these Superman comic books and all of these pop culture things that really took over in the 1980s, I think, more than any, and then just continued on after that. And so as a kid, as a teenager in the 1980s, that was kind of my formative years, and it changed society, I think, for a lot of us, and it made us act younger. It made us think younger. It kept us, I think, younger than the generation that came before us. So I was born in 1969, but my parents were born in 1938. So think about the difference in the world, 1938. Compared to 1969, and you can get some idea of the perspective that really that everyone in those generations had relative to the generation that I'm in now, that I grew up in, born in 1969, and the following generations and the way they look at the world. So I think that is something. I think the people were older when I was born in 1969. I think somebody that was 56 years old was old. But I don't think that's the case anymore. The problem is the hangover from those generations that taught us that those people were old. The world changed and no one told them. No one's told other 56-year-olds that you can behave and act and do the same things that you used to do at 35 years old without thinking twice about it. But because we saw those examples that were given to us, that we are old, that you got to go to bed, you order off the back of the menu, which I hate and I've never done and I will never do. There's not enough food on the back of the menu. Feed a fly. That never is going to work. But eat off the back of the menu. And what's that say? As long as you order by 7 o'clock, you get the sunset meal and all of those sorts of, I got to be in bed before the street lights come on. I don't ascribe to any of that. My buddy Jared just came out to Tennessee and saw me. We are pool freaks. And when I'm in Portland, we pick a night, sometimes 2 nights, God willing, and we will play pool from 5 o'clock in the afternoon until the bar closes down at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we'll do it multiple days. Now, this goes back, I've told this story before, to my health and how good I feel. Prior to 2022, I couldn't hit 8 or 9 balls in a row. I couldn't stand up that long. I would start to sweat profusely. Jared would tell stories during COVID. I would go to his house. We would play in his basement, and I would start to sweat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shots in. That means I'm just standing there and shooting 7, 8. Let's say you're just practicing whacking balls around, not making balls. Maybe you're not good enough to do that. It doesn't matter. Just imagine shooting 7 balls in a row on a pool table. Once I got to that 8th ball, I was done. I had to sit down. Now, I only had to sit down for 30 or 40 seconds, but the pain was so massive in my back because I have this broken back. I'm popping pills like they're candy, pain meds. My heart would jump into AFib because the pain in my back was so bad, and I would fight it because I want to keep playing pool because I love playing pool. Ultimately, after you do that for a couple hours, the pain would put me into AFib. That was the system that I was on. I was 300 plus pounds, but we're playing pool, and I can only play that many shots at a time, and I have to sit down for 30 or 40 or 50 seconds, and then I get back up and do it all over again. And in the instances as I'm playing where I could actually shoot 7 or 8 shots in a row, if I was good enough to do that, I would have to go and sit down. Now, let's think about that on the other side and what I just told you. That was in 2022. It is now 2025. Excuse me, that was in 2020. It's now 2025, 5 years later. 2022, I go on this program that I've been under. That's a background on how terrible my health was. And a couple of weeks ago, Jared came out and we played pool over 2 days, 25 hours. That's nonstop. Sitting down to eat. Other than that, it is nonstop pool. You think that pool isn't that physical a game? I at that level, doing it that much for that many hours in a row, based on what I was able to do previously, or not able to do previously, I should say, and what I was able to ultimately do and what I can do now, is the difference between, it's just the difference between being 80 and 40, I think, in how it feels. I mean, I literally went back 20 years, and once I got a taste of it, man, I was off to the races. It was madness. And it just makes you want more. Now, as I sit here today, today's January 6th. This will be released in the next day or so. Today's January 6th. I'm 56 years old. I'm stronger, and I'm healthier than I have probably ever been in my life. Even though I still have AFib, A-flutter, 40% block in my left ventricle, broken back, all of those issues. I've gone from 19 meds to 4, as we know, but even as I sit here at 56 years old, mentally, I'm as strong as I have ever been. But that also means that my mentality and my mindset is I can do anything I want. My life is not over. I look at my life right now I'm halfway through it. That's the way I'm looking at it. So I expect to live to be 110 years old, 115 years old, modern medicine, everything else. Now, I'm talking about somebody in my same shape, maybe doesn't have the heart issues. Heart issues are going to take me early. It just is. But I expect early to be 80, 90. I don't expect, if I was healthy, I would expect to live to be 110. So that means at 56, I'm halfway through. Is that naive? I don't know. You do whatever you want to do. I have the energy for me to say to you, there's no way that I'm 70% through my life, 75% through my life. If the average lifespan of a male in the United States is about 74, give or take, right? That means I'm 65, 70% through my life. No way. Because I'm strong. Because I'm strong in every way. And I plan on 2025 being a year for me. I had plans in 2024, but I have a lot of legacy things that were keeping me from getting to them. Looking back on it, I probably could have done it had I tried harder, had I put in even more effort. but I didn't, and it didn't happen, and I had a lot of headwinds. I don't have those same headwinds anymore for 2025, and so I have plans. And I put out a year-end podcast that talks about what all those are in more specifics. But as I look out at 56 years old, I don't see retirement coming. I don't see how I'm going to figure out to take more time off. I don't figure out any of those things. I want to work. I want to work in the gym. I want to work on my relationships. I want to work on my pool game. I want to work on my business. Across the board, I plan on going and working. That is my outlook. Now, that may not be for you. That's fine. But I'm telling you, at 56 years old, you're going to age much quicker based on what your mentality is. 56, 57, 58, 60, 65. It's just a number. When I was 40, the guys that were 50 used to tell me, because I used to talk like this even when I was 40, wait till you're 50. Well, I hit 50. And 50 was brutal for me. I was out of shape. I was dying. I was fat. No heart, bad heart. We figured out that from 2016 to about 2020, I was hospitalized 50 times. 50. So that's hospitalized between admitted to a hospital or an emergency room. I kid you not. My wife and I figured that out. That gives you some sense. I was cardioverted 6 times in 2017 alone. Clear. In 1 year, and one night I was cardioverted twice. Heart running rampant. All kinds of issues. I had heart surgeries. I had back surgeries. You name it. If you could find the reason, I was in the hospital 50 times. In the last, if I take out the kidney stones that magically appeared 3-4 years ago, if I take those out of the mix, and the number of times those put me in the hospital the last 3 years, then we're talking about being in the hospital in an emergency room maybe a day or two, maybe a night or two, to help deal with AFib that was going nuts. Other than that, none. So essentially from 17 times in 2017 alone, 50 times from 2016 to 2022 to 2 times. I got younger. I got faster. I got stronger in every conceivable way. And my attitude about getting older changed. So as I started to turn 50, 51, 52, I started worrying, oh my God, I'm going to become old. I'm going to become that thing that I have watched my whole life. I'm going to become, you go back and there's this meme floating around of these guys back in the day that had very popular talk shows in the 70s and the 80s, and the dads in those shows, and you go back and look at them, and they were younger than me. It's crazy to think about. I would have thought those people were 60, 65 years old. They weren't. They were my age, working class, 1970s comedies, things of that nature, and those people were old. I mean, they looked old. They acted old. Everything about them was old. And so it shows me that it's personality and what you believe and what you think. And in my head, I think I'm young. I'm not being naive. I'm not out running basketball like I did when I was 25 years old. That's not what I'm talking about. Although if I wanted to go run in a 50 and over basketball league right now, I'd do it without thinking twice. I mean, I have coming up in April, I have a half marathon here in Nashville that I'm going to do. And I am considering, because I do all of my miles in a 35-pound pack that I put, 35-pound vest that I wear, I'm thinking about maybe I'll do that with that 35-pound vest on. I won't be able to run it, but I could probably walk it at a 50-mile, possibly, something along those lines. I think I can probably do that. So I'm going to give that a try, or at least I'm going to consider that. But in the meantime, while I think about that, gives you an insight into where my mind is, into what I think about turning 56 years old. Can I run that half marathon with a 35-pound pack on? Now, 3 years ago it was, can I run the marathon? That seems crazy. Somebody who's never run one before. And I've done, 5 or 6? 5. And am going to do this one in April, which will be my 6th one. I will certainly do it. Whether or not I do it with a 35-pound pack on, I got to do some practice and see what it feels like. And as long as I can do it in 3.5 hours, if I can walk that briskly with that 35-pound pack on in 3.5 hours, I'll go for it. So I'll test it. If I think I can do it, I'll do it. If I won't, I'll do it without, and I'll do the marathon in 3 hours. The point being That is where my brain is. That's the way that I look at anything. If I look at business and opportunities and new jobs, starting something new, closing out something old, the effort I'm going to put into any kind of work, I look at it as if I'm 25, 30 years old. There is no time limit for me. There is no age limit. I have not aged out. There is nothing at 56 years old that I want to do that I would not go do that I wanted to go do when I was 36 years old. No difference. In fact, I am more active at 56 than I was at 36. That's what I think about being 56 years old. Now, part of this might be I'm not somebody to follow the pack. I'm not somebody that goes along. I'm not somebody that likes to be told what to do. I'm not somebody that's going to watch culture and go do what it does. I'm not somebody that does something because it's popular. I'm not a complainer. I'm not a whiner. I never have been. I've never missed a day of work in my life sick. I've been sick at work. I've never missed a day. I got my first job when I was 11 years old. 11 years old, not a job that you mowing the lawn up the street. I did that much younger. I paid taxes as an 11-year-old. So I have never followed the rules. I have never done what I was supposed to. I have always been aggressive in everything that I do. And I refuse. If no one else does, too bad for everyone else. I refuse to give in to this belief that age tells you that you have to behave a certain way. That because you're old, you can't. And because I've learned that the reality is that as we get old, we stop moving. And when we stop moving, it makes us old. Age as a number does not define what kind of shape we are in. Age as a number does not tell us about our bodies. What tells us about our bodies is what we do to it. The age of our bodies is how we treat it. So if you're overweight, if you don't move around, if you're not lifting weights, if you're not eating good food, you're going to get much older. If you do the opposite of all of those things, you're going to get much younger. I learned that at 52 years old in 2022. And now as I turn 56, I sit here as aggressively energetic with as much mental and physical capability as I possibly need to look into the future and say, I'm going to do whatever it is that I want to do. There is no limit for me. There is no, it's 8 o'clock, I've got to go to bed. There is no 10 o'clock, I'm old, I've got to go to bed. There's no, I can't survive off of 5 hours of sleep because I'm 56 years old. You'll never hear me say that. You'll never hear me say I'm older, except in this one context, to be fair. I lift weights and I run marathons, half marathons, understanding what my age is. Anybody over 50 years old, the number one way of getting hurt exercising is running. So I don't run the entire thing. I'll run for a minute and then walk for 2 minutes and then run for a minute and walk for 2 minutes, something like that. When I lift, I don't lift heavy. I don't have a personal record. It would be high for somebody my age. I'm 6'4", 249 pounds. Ugh, man, it was tough between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I really let it go this year, folks. I put on about 6-7 pounds and now I'm paying for it. But I'm on a trip. I'm going to get back to 225. Having said that, I digress. Just at the end of it, the reality is that you are only as old as you allow yourself to be. I expect to be this same age when I'm 65 years old as I am, or at 66 years old as I am at 56 years old. I don't expect to change. I don't expect to change in how I think. Everybody at 65 is going to tell me, you just wait, just like everybody that used to tell me that when they were 55 and I was 45. And then when everybody that was 45 told me that when I was in my 30s, you wait till you're 40. Yeah, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for that to happen. I managed a company as a young man, 25 years old. I had people that were twice my age working for me. And the one thing they told me that was true, that I hated, was that you don't know anything until you're 40. And that's pretty much true. You just don't have enough life experience. You haven't seen enough things. The hard drive is not full enough for you to be the fullest person that you can, most experienced person you can. It doesn't really happen until around 40 years old. And I hated that. But what they also said is wait till you're me. So I had that preset notion in my head that as soon as I was them, this was going to happen. And the reality is it did not. And that is because I am not them. I am me. And I look at the world the way that I look at the world. So if y'all want to go get older, You want to sit there and whine and cry and mope and tell everybody how you got to go to bed because it's 9:30 and you got to get up at 6:30 and that's not enough sleep. And if I don't do this, this is going to happen. And all of those things that you have talked yourself into, which is really just an excuse to continue to abuse your body the way that you are, the way that we do as Americans, then you are going to get old and ultimately you will die some horrible death slowly, because you won't be lucky enough for a massive heart attack to take you out quickly. That's just the way that it works here. And I'm sitting here at 56 years old going, that's not going to be me. Now, it doesn't mean I won't die slowly from some horrible disease, but the chances of that happening to me are significantly smaller. Significantly. Like 80, 90% less. Now, I've got a 40% block in my left ventricle. My heart's working a little bit harder, doesn't pump so much blood. And that's the other thing, people. I have every excuse in the world for why I should be sick and old. Everyone, whatever your excuse is, I got it too. Whatever the problem is, I've got it times 10. I couldn't walk 3 years ago. And now on my 56th birthday, I'm talking about doing a half a marathon with a 35-pound pack on. Okay? I couldn't hit 9 pool balls in a row 3 years ago, and now I just told you I played 25 hours in 2 days with my boy Jared, and Jared will tell you he was wiped out, and I was bumming because I couldn't keep going. So the reality is, at 56, what have I learned between 55 and 56? What I knew at 55, but I know even more now, which is I am ready for this year of my life. I am ready for the next one, and I look forward to those coming years. I do not lament as I'm going to turn 57 and 58 and 59 and 60. I don't. I've got the magic. I've figured it out. Something may afflict me, but the chances that whatever gets a hold of me takes me out at this shape of my life and the way that I eat and the way that I take care of myself and my perspective and my personality and the way that I look at the world is much lower than it would have hit me 3 years ago when I was 305 pounds and dying. Obviously, because I had no way to fight that. Even if I fall over today, I'm just going to stand back up because I go to the gym every day and go down and up and down and up and down and up and down and up. So when I fall, I'm just going to stand back up. That's what I'm doing at 56 years old. I'm not breaking. Things aren't falling apart. I've never been healthier. And I think that that's the critical part to why my outlook on the future is what it is because I see great things for me ahead, business-wise, family-wise, relationship-wise, all of the things that I want to do professionally. I see things coming on the horizon that I can't wait to go jump on and attack. Doesn't mean I'm going to be successful. I could fail. But goddamn it, I'm going to have a good time failing. And I'm going to learn and I'm going to fail with as much energy as humanly possible. But if I succeed, I'm going to revel in that. And I'm going to do that until the day I die. Because that's what I like to do while I play some pool. That's the way I'm looking at the world. January 6th, 2025, as I turn 56 years old. I appreciate everybody has sent me happy birthday wishes. The number of people who have reached out to me, texted me, DM'd me, hit me on Facebook is just, it's overwhelming. And I'm flattered and humbled that so many of you took the time to do that. I know there's a lot of people that follow me. I try to share my gospel and get these words out to everybody. I am a broken record about it, yes, because I want for all of you, if I could give all of you a gift on my birthday here today, it would be the gift of how good I feel. But that is something you can go get on your own. It just takes discipline and time, and you got to be willing to put that in. If I could, I'd give it to you, but I can't. You got to go get it on your own. Opportunities are everywhere. You got to go get them. Thanks, everybody, for the birthday wishes and for another great year. And I look forward to this upcoming year and doing more of what I had been doing and beyond that. Go for a walk.